Welcome back to another episode of the Game Changer podcast. We are not at Veers HQ for this episode. We are at Craft Cafe in St. Petersburg, Florida. I am joined with my guy, Riley, ATG Throwability, and we are prepped for another episode. Riley, in my opinion, is a game changer for a number of reasons. One of them being his pursuit in athleticism, his pursuit in ATG mastery, but also his ability to train, especially with baseball players. Riley, the first thing that I want to talk about, when I decided to make this podcast, was all about finding game changers and trying to figure out what makes you a game changer, right? So diving deeper into, maybe not so much in training, but diving deeper into what makes you, right?
Yeah.
You're from Cleveland, Ohio, and one of the things that I admire about you is you took the leap, right? You just kind of got up in the middle of your life. You were kind of set up in Cleveland, and you come down to St. Petersburg, Florida, to Clearwater, Florida, to pursue ATG training and to build your training business. Talk to me a little bit about that and what that decision was like and why you ultimately wanted to make that decision.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, appreciate kind words. Great introduction there. Let's see. I was in Ohio. I'm about an hour south from Cleveland, so pretty close. Canton, Ohio is where I'm from.
Mm-hmm.
I was an athlete growing up. I played baseball up until high school. I did a lot of endurance feats and things like that. After college, I was pretty unsure of what I wanted to do career-wise. I kind of took on a role as a personal trainer. Just something I enjoyed was training, so I thought maybe I can help other people get right with their health and training. And I loved it really quick.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I can definitely make something out of this. And I was pretty good at it too. So I was there at the gym in Canton, Ohio, Impulse Training. They started me off. It was a great journey there. And while I was there, I was also kind of battling some injuries myself. I was in like chronic low back pain all the time, like just kind of stumbling around. And I had this imposter syndrome about myself to like, how can I give anybody advice if I'm hobbling around in pain? So it was like one of those things where I was doing anything to get out of pain. I was the recovery gadget guy for a long time. I was doing a lot of like foam rolling for hours and static stretching and just like anything to not let my pain carry over to the next day. And that's really all that stuff ever did for me, was get me to the next day. It never really got me any progress.
Right. Or like a solution.
I was just very stagnant and miserable and in pain, and I masked it very well. Just, I was trying to help people, but I didn't feel great about myself. So I had to fix that. So I was on a hunt for that. I found Ben Patrick, Knees Over Toes guy, on Instagram. Really didn't think much of him. I just saw him doing like crazy stuff on Instagram, and I was like, yo, this guy's up to something. What does he do? And then I saw he was just talking about the sled. And because I was in pain previously, really never put any focus on my legs. I was scared to do any compound lifts or anything like that. So I pushed the sled a bit for like a month, just every day, 5 minutes, nothing crazy. And I felt my like legs come to life. And that really took some ease off my back, and like just had a glimmer of hope just from sled training for like a couple months. Glimmer of hope. I was like, whoa, I'm feeling better. What else is this guy talking about? So I dove all the way down the ATG Ben Patrick rabbit hole. I was highly obsessed with it for years, still am. But man, like, I just took that fire that was burning in me and gave it out to my clients there at Impulse. And I was running ATG sessions, group sessions, for about a couple years, getting people results, and I was loving it. I just felt like I could do a lot more with what I have learned from that. So I just, I knew the ATG scene was in Florida, and I knew a lot of guys were down there and I've talked to remotely and things like that. And I knew that's where I had to be. So I just up and went.
Was this like a planned thing? Was it like, I want to eventually get down there? Or did one day you just wake up and you're like, you know what, I'm just going to go?
Funny enough, I had been living with my girlfriend at the time, and she was seeking out a change for herself as well. And, I always knew she had always mentioned she wanted to live in Florida or like by the water somewhere warm. So she actually initiated the whole thing, and she ended up moving. One of her friends called her and said, "Hey, I know you wanted to move to Florida. I have an extra spot." She ended up going with her, and I said, "Yeah, you go ahead and do that. Like, we're gonna figure it out. I'll be down there." And I like didn't even know where she was gonna go. Didn't know like anything. She could have gone anywhere in Florida, and she ended up in St. Petersburg. So from that point, 4 months go by. I'm trying to figure out get my ducks in a row and things. 4 months go by. I move in with her, and she's only 40 minutes from the ATG gym.
Yeah.
Which she could have literally been anywhere in
Anywhere.
Florida.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I moved in with her. It was like killing two birds with one stone. I had my girlfriend with me. I was in my new community with the ATG guys, and it was awesome. And I mean, I'm still here. Like, I was living in St. Pete, kind of doing the commute to Clearwater 2, 3, 4 times a week just to train with the guys and learn and be in the gym there and just elevate my game as a coach. And yeah, it led to me leaving St. Pete. Now we're both in Clearwater, and I'm just 5 minutes from the gym, and I'm there all the time. And I feel like I'm really in the place I'm supposed to be in Clearwater right now.
Yeah, that's awesome how
Yeah.
things will work out and match up. Usually when it does work out so perfectly like that, it seems like I'm probably in the right place.
Yeah,
you
no,
know?
and like a lot of uncertainty when I was getting ready to go. Like, I'm a hometown kid. I love Ohio. I love all my friends and family there. And when I was telling everybody I was moving there, like, yo, like what? Like I don't know. I felt like I kind of had an impact in my community there, and like for me to leave was kind of like a big deal, and a lot of uncertainty going to Florida, and just like you said, like so many instances of like, oh, I made the right decision.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
it just kept happening and happening and happening, and it
Yeah.
still does today. So it's like, yeah, it's great right now. So
That's a great story.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of transition into what a game changer actually is, right? So we kind of have a definition for what a game changer is, and in a simple form, it's someone that is willing to go outside the realm of normalcy, right? That situation of you taking that leap is enough, in my opinion, to want to do that, because there's so many people that have an idea or have a goal or have something and they don't take that first initial leap.
Yeah.
You went outside of the normal realm, that you did something different that someone might not have, that's not the normal path to take. You probably had your parents maybe not telling you it was a good idea and all this other stuff, right? So
Yep.
I admire that about you.
For sure, man.
I want to know a little bit more about you, and I get around you and I can see how much time you put in, because when I see you do the ATG exercises and I see the level that you're at, there's only one way to get to those, and it's putting a ton of time into that. I see you go run. We had our speed workout yesterday, and you're really not that far behind me. In our times were very similar. I see you go play basketball and you're able to dunk. I see you do all these things, and to me, it's like, this isn't natural athleticism or natural ability that's happening.
Not at all.
There's something that's going on here. And I don't want to talk about the ability, but I want to talk more so about the discipline, the consistency, the organization. How do you continue to find that and make the time to be able to do those things? Is it just passion? Are you a routine-based person? Do you have, a bunch of organized things that help your life become easier?
Man.
Where do you find that opportunity to just continue to put the work in?
Yeah, you laid it out really good there. Man, like, part of the reason is I was an athlete growing up. I loved baseball, and I didn't quite get to where I wanted to be with baseball, and I felt like I had the skills to do it, and I was for a long time I was bitter and miserable about it, and made a lot of wrong decisions, and went down a bad path of I wouldn't say hanging out with the wrong crowd, but just making the wrong decisions, man. Like, just not making the decisions to get where I wanted to be. And like, sometimes it takes hitting rock bottom to just flip your whole life upside down and like really hit the gas. And that's what happened to me. Like, like I said, when I was training and in pain, it was because I was working like miserable labor jobs. I worked at UPS for like 2 years. I was going to school. I didn't even know I got my degree. I didn't even really know what I was doing in school. I just knew it was like pushing me forward in some sense. There was a time where I thought I was just going to be a UPS driver my whole life, and I was just going to submit to that lifestyle, like collect the check. Those guys do well, but I was just going to accept my back pain for what it was. And like, so it just took me, my mom really pushed me to get my education. So I appreciate her for that, because if I wouldn't have done that, I'd probably still be working at UPS. But yeah, it just, like I said, it took me hitting rock bottom to really think like, yo, you are worth so much more than this job. Like you can make so much more of an impact. So for me, it was like finding what mistakes I've made in my life and just kind of flipping the script and thinking like, I know there's other people kind of struggling with similar issues. So how can I help those people navigate those issues? So that's what I'm here to do, is like really just help people find their path, whatever it may be, whether it be with baseball or strength training or anything. But whatever keeps me going is just, like I said, that fire that I didn't quite make it to where I wanted to, kind of still burns in me today, which is why I want to help so many kids get to the next level in their sport, is because I wish I would have had somebody like me to kind of
guide and push and motivate. And
yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Dude, one thing that you said in there I think is so powerful. You said you didn't submit to the lifestyle of being a UPS driver for the rest of your life. And the idea of not submitting, right? Like, you were put down here in this beautiful thing that we call life to get exactly what you want, right? Not because you're lucky or not because whatever, it's because you deserve that.
Yeah.
And settling for anything less is a huge mistake. And I'm really glad that you didn't submit to that, and you just kept going, you kept pushing and kept striving for that. I think that's such a cool thing and so powerful for anyone out there listening. Not submitting, right? Go push to that goal and just don't stop. Like, don't stop pushing towards what you're trying to accomplish.
100%. And another thing is, it sounds so simple, but like, if you know you have a vision and you know what you want to do, seek out people who are doing it and take notes, learn from them, reach out, find a way to connect. Like, don't be in a box. Don't be submitting to the lifestyle that society puts on you, because I see it happen so much. Like, I have friends who are better players than me, like way better athlete than I was. And the fact that I can do some of the stuff I can do today, and like I'm not, talking down on anybody, but like, they're not doing their athletic endeavors anymore. They're not like, they're submitting to the lifestyle of, that was my high school athletics. Like, yeah, I'm not, that's over for me. It's like, no, you can be a freak athlete. And we got guys in ATG dunking at 40 years old. Like, it's, and that's how, I feel like that's a lot of, that's how people like to express, at least me, express themselves, is through athleticism and physicality and ability. And, for a long time, just to go off what I just said there, I'm just going to segue into what got me into the baseball stuff. Essentially, it was, I was doing a lot of this ATG training, and I was just doing it to get out of pain at first. And I thought, okay, cool. Once I'm out of pain, I can just go back to doing my big, bro lifts. I can go back to do my bench press and my whatever. No, I felt my body change in a relatively short amount of time, and I continued to progress these workouts to the moon. And I've never felt more strong, mobile, athletic in the body that I'm in today. So for me, I was training so hard. Like you said, you're like, yo, you put time into these movements. I can tell by how you move in the gym. I was obsessed. And I put a lot of time into those movements, but that's all I was doing. I wasn't finding any way to express my new abilities that I've gotten from these movements. So I was like looking around, and now I'm in Clearwater, and I see all these guys that they're, they train so hard so they can go play basketball pain-free and like compete and have fun. And it's awesome. And I got to play with those guys, and it just like lit a fire in me. Like, I'm not a basketball player. I can hoop, but it wasn't my sport growing up. I can hold my own, but baseball was always my sport. So it was like, somebody asked me one day, they were like, because I was just really kind of struggling to find my path with this ATG stuff, because the guys that are doing well with this ATG stuff have kind of niched down to their interests, their crowd, their tribe. Essentially, for you, it's the speed guys, it's the hoopers, it's the guys who want to improve and jump higher and get faster and go to the next level. for me, I didn't know where that was. And I was like, well, no, somebody asked me, Ben can dunk. What can you do? And I'm like, man, that made me like, that was like the light bulb question that really just like sparked so many ideas in my head. I was like, what can I do? Like, what was I doing growing up? I was a great pitcher growing up. I could throw gas, and I had no strength foundation or athletic capacity whatsoever. I was just always a baseball player. Like, I just had a big arm always growing up. And I just thought one day, like, yeah, Ben can dunk. What can I do? I used to be able to throw gas. Let's see what I can throw today. I hadn't thrown the ball in 10 years. I picked it up and I threw 80 miles an hour. So I was like, okay, something's here. Like 80 miles an hour in the grand scheme of things isn't so impressive, but for me to literally not throw for 10 years and just pick a ball up, and mechanics are all over the place, and body hasn't adapted to any of these movements in a long time. For me to be able to throw 80, I was like, okay, the training I've been doing can definitely translate over to baseball 100%. And I'm going to try to throw 90 while I apply these principles. And I'm going to also help as many baseball players as I can get to the next level with what I've learned. So,
Yeah, that's cool. I think there's a few things that you said throughout that entire thing there. One of them being having people around you like that are willing to help and don't just be in your own box, but reach out and learn and conversate. And I think that's one thing that I really appreciate about you and all the ATG guys is your willingness to help and not feeling like it's some type of competing or jealousy or comparison. It's a helping environment, which I think is really cool. Sure. I want to just kind of, I think we could sit here and talk about baseball and ATG and how you apply ATG to your sport. And we could relate that to basketball or speed or whatever it is. I want to kind of touch this up, and maybe that's a time for a different episode. I want to finish off by talking about, again, getting back to you away from ATG. Mm-hmm. Two things. There's two things I want to keep them kind of short here because we are crunching on time at this point. The first being, you weren't always a game changer. And obviously ATG had a major impact on your life to help you become a game changer. Mm-hmm. But what other things were you doing outside of ATG to change your mindset, to change your life, to like completely find growth in your life? 100%. What other things outside of ATG were you doing to become a game changer?
Okay. Yeah. It sounds cliche, but honest to God, bro, I found David Goggins at the right time in my life. And he literally put me in a whole new mind frame. And there for a good 2 years, like I said, that was when I kind of flipped the script on my whole life. When I was like in the deepest pit of my life, working a miserable job, in pain, suppressing. I was smoking like copious amounts of weed and like just suppressing everything as low as it could go, and to the point where like this rah-rah David Goggins Navy SEAL guy came up on my feed, and I just listened to him on Joe Rogan one day, and like I literally felt myself come to life after that. And I was like, I'm seeking out this dude's book. I read his book. I've listened to it multiple times. I've listened to both of them multiple times. He's a big impact in my life.
That's cool.
That is what kind of sparked the whole thing for me.
Yeah.
I've done some endurance feats and stuff to kind of like unleash my inner Goggins and test my physical savage and all that, but I'm not really so much doing that so much anymore. But he definitely helped me develop a mentality that I'd never had, and it was that and just doing things I was scared of, like just literally throwing yourself into the fire. Like the worst you can do is fail and learn from it. So it's like, what's really the worst thing that's going to happen at the end of the day?
I think one thing as I'm listening there, suppress versus because you were suppressing everything.
I was.
And instead of that, what Goggin did, it was like a motivation, but you also kind of like, you're not suppressing, you're not using weed as a way to, block everything out. You're embracing. Suppress versus embracing challenge, embracing the hardship, 100%. Embracing the suck. And I think that's a really cool thing.
Take it head on,
taking those things on forefront, not just suppressing everything through all the distractions and the things that we can do in life.
It's so easy, man. Like it is so easy to just suppress and stay put with where you're at in life because there's endless amounts of distractions
Yeah.
in the world we live in nowadays. You could literally sit and scroll on Instagram or TikTok for 4 hours, and like that is 4 hours of productivity that you've lost. So it's like just recognizing what are your distractions, what are your vices, because that, like, learn about yourself. Actually like think intuitively of like, if I were coaching me through life, what advice would I give myself? And like that frame of mind can go a long way.
Yeah.
Like if I was my own client, or if I was coaching myself, what would I tell myself? And sometimes it just takes to write that stuff down and look at it and evaluate and be like, bro, you know what to do. It's a matter of making the decision. And it's just,
no, that's cool. I like that. I like that, switching that. The last thing, are you a goal person, or do you make plans? Do you write things down when you have something that you want to accomplish? Is that something that you're writing out a detailed plan to try to get to it? Is it the new year and you're writing down, hey, I want to accomplish this, this, and this for 2025? Not so much maybe a New Year's resolution, but are you a goal or a planner, that type of thing, to kind of strive to accomplish your goals?
I'll be honest, not nearly as much as I should be. Yeah, I'm still very much navigating like how I can best operate in my life, like through a lot of things. I have goals, but am I as strategic as I could be around those goals? No. Do I write things down so I can get that daily reminder of like, yo, what are we here to do? Like, what's the big vision? Yeah, of course. Like, I have a calendar. I write things down. I have a gratitude journal I write in every morning. That's huge, and I like to look back at it because, you know, it's essentially showing you different times of your life where it was like, yo, look back at 2001. Look at what you were grateful for in like 2001 compared to like now you're talking about what you're grateful for today. And like, it's just so much can change, man. Like just bet on yourself and go all in and stop sitting and pondering on it.
Yeah.
Is the biggest advice I can give anybody.
So to sum that up, your organization through a calendar, you're writing stuff in a gratitude journal, you're at least thinking about what you want to accomplish, and then also embracing the grind, embracing the suck, not suppressing everything that can go on, all the distractions that there might be in life. And that's a recipe, and I don't want you to discount yourself. Those things might seem really small, but that's a recipe to become a game changer. It's very obvious that what you're doing is working, because every time I come back down here, I see growth in you, not only as an athlete, but as a person and as a coach. And that's really exciting for me. That's why I wanted to have you on the podcast, because we're trying to find what makes game changes, not for all the listeners out there, but selfishly, I want to continue to grow myself. The more that I can be around people like you, the more it's going to elevate me. We're going to continue to make videos. We're going to keep working out. We're going to keep hanging out. I'm grateful to have you as a friend, and to also have you on there. I think there were some really good pieces in there that people can learn from. Like I said, although it might seem small, could make a big impact for somebody else. And, you know, if anything, a great way that we can continue to learn from each other. So
sure, brother.
I appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
definitely. My guy.
Dude, that was good. Hell yeah. We went over time, but